Hey, you guys, it's April Rogerson, the Contract Slayer, and we are here with the Slay Your Day podcast where we bring in interesting guests and small businesses and different ideas and ways for you to slay your day. Today, we have two really unique guests who are going to give us a lot of insight on how to grow your business and or grow your funding. Yeah, I said money. That's the one y'all want, right? Mm-hmm. So save some money, get some money. And today we are introducing Nicole Kirkland with All About the Benji. No.
That's a good one, though. That's a good one.
Introduce your business.
Sure. It's By the Number CPA and the Properties.
Awesome. And we have Montez Diamond. She is from the Small Business Association and not administration. Small Business Administration.
No problem.
And you are from the Office of
Advocacy.
And advocacy is what we need and what we're going to talk about today.
Yes, let's get into it.
Let's get into it. So I'm feeling like we should start with the funding.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's start with the funding because she's going to help us save the money.
Okay.
She's going to help us save the money. You're going to help us get the money.
Yes.
So let's start with getting to the money.
Okay.
So tell us a little bit more about what the Office of Advocacy does.
Sure.
First.
Sure.
But we're going to rewind and go back to how you started,
Yes.
who you are,
Yes.
and all that stuff. So give us the short version of what the Office of Advocacy does.
For sure. So my name is Montez Diamond. I work for the Office of Advocacy with the Small Business Administration. I serve in the capacity of Region 4 Advocate, which means that I have the opportunity to connect small businesses with opportunities to comment on federal legislation within the southeastern part of the United States, which includes Alabama, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, Mississippi, and Florida.
Let's say that again.
Yes, right.
It's not a one-trick pony, one-state pony here.
Let me spit a hot 16
I'm just
right
saying.
So,
pop that off again.
right, Alabama, Florida, Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, Georgia. I'm missing something, I believe. The Carolinas, North Carolina, and South Carolina. Yes.
Okay. Perfect. So Montez Diamond, that name is popping.
Thank you.
So are you going to tell us how you got that name?
Sure.
Yes, because that's like, you couldn't have been anything but either a professional something.
Okay.
We ain't going to say what.
Indeed.
Or a really professional something.
Yes.
So there was so much room between what could have happened with this name.
I'm so glad you asked because I have been asked before whether or not I am a professional in many ways because of the name.
Okay. And you're like, yes, I am a professional, but not in that way.
Yes,
Go.
exactly. Nonetheless, I am. I do interpretive dances. I'm one of the type of people. When I was a little baby, I was the one that was snatching off my pamper and running
You
around.
was trying to give us a little show
So I
just
was
now
trying
before
to,
we went live.
You know, the whole kit and caboodle and
Right.
shimmering and whatnot. Nonetheless, I got my name by way of divine intervention. My father actually misspelled my name on the birth certificate, trying to remember how to actually spell a name that he wanted to be able to continue to use throughout the legacy of our family. He wanted me to initially be named after his sister named Montez, who passed away as a toddler. And so I was the first child born between him and his sister, and they wanted me to maintain the name. And Diamond is my actual father's last name, so it's not made up, it's not created, it's not a stage name, it's not a
No
nickname.
Players Club going on here.
I haven't changed my identity. I'm not on the run from anything. I'm not attempting to cross boundaries or anything from country to country. Nonetheless, that's my real name.
Awesome. That first of all, the story is amazing.
Thank
so kudos to Dad, and to your point of the divine intervention, because that name has something now. And not that it didn't as his sister's name, but and the legacy of where it came from is a great story. So awesome. Now talk to us about how little Miss Montez got to be where she is today in terms of how did you start in the path of kind of small businesses? Did you have something that you were doing before you got there? And did you have another passion before you decided to go in this direction?
All of the above. So I am an advocate present day because at the age of 15, I was falsely accused of stealing a car. And as a result, the owner of the car was friends with the district attorney at the time. And in an attempt to indemnify the owner as a result of the car accident that I was in, the legal strategy was to be able to say the people in the car attempted to steal the car. But it actually was a car accident after high school when we were 15 years old. We were on the debate team. 3 of my friends were in a car, and we were in an accident after school. And the car belonged to my friend's boyfriend. Boyfriend's father.
Oh.
So my friend's boyfriend's father was the owner of the actual car. And the process is that we had to go before Judge Hatchett before she was on television.
Oh my God. Well, your stories just keep getting more and more interesting.
And she was over the Department of Juvenile, litigation services or what have you, juvenile court.
Okay.
And that really impacted my life because at the time my parents had to be able to hire an attorney. We all of our parents had to hire an attorney. We had the means to be able to do that. And it just reminded me of the fact that whatever I did in life, it was going to be emblematic of advocating on behalf of others, because I realized at the age of 15 when I had to go before several judges who threatened to put me in juvenile court, they saw me again. But because I had a profile, a quote unquote past performance for business owners that was a clean record, so to speak, that it really spoke to me volumes as it pertains to what I could and could not say, because that really could have huge implications on the case and the outcome. In an attempt to mitigate whatever was going on. And as a result of that, I had an opportunity to then work for various companies, and then I had an opportunity to land at a particular place of employment that asked me to create a diversity and inclusion curriculum. And in an attempt to advocate on behalf of my...
Question mark.
Sure.
Are you saying that this was, working with small businesses was a contingent of your involvement with the judge?
No.
Gotcha.
That's just
You was
15-year-old
finally able to
Montez.
get out of that.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
trying to shorten everything.
I got you.
But
Because I was like, wait a minute, how we got here?
Let's see, just kind of like shorten everything. After that happened, I attended college. I went to Howard University. I studied English.
Shout out to the
Indeed, Bison, HU,
Bison,
you know,
yes, Bison.
not
Yes.
Hampton University, but Howard University, located in Washington, D.C. Nonetheless, all love for historically black colleges and universities. My parents attended Clark Atlanta University. That's where they met. I wanted to attend there, but didn't get accepted, but got accepted at Howard.
Gotcha.
Nonetheless, I wanted to become an attorney.
Gotcha.
Because of what happened to me at the age of 15. But when I got to law school, after attending law school for 2.5 years, I realized that I'm more so an advocate. I help people to navigate processes and people, not necessarily have a love for the black letter law.
Gotcha.
So with that being said, I knew that I wanted to go into the lane of education as well as mediation. I've had an opportunity to work as a juvenile delinquency mediator, as well as a civil mediator and an arbitrator for the Better Business Bureau. But during my employment, which helped me to shift into entrepreneurism, later in life, was the fact that I was working for a company that asked me to specifically write the diversity and inclusion curriculum for one of their major suppliers, their nonprofit. One of their major contributors and sponsors, Delta Airlines. And I said, well, if you're going to ask me to do this, can I get some type of copyright recognition? Can I get some type of something? Because when I create this curriculum, you're going to benefit greatly from this. But within the context of litigiousness in the workplace, it would be created within the agency of being an employee. So I wouldn't get any credit. The answer was no. And the answer was no to a couple of ideas that I brought forward to the leadership and executive director of the organization. And I was looking for basically an opportunity to have a smooth transition out into places and opportunities that would say yes towards me. And there, as a result of volunteer work with young adults in a workforce development organization, they extended to me an opportunity to be a contractor, to be an adjunct professor through their workforce development program that had a relationship with Atlanta Area Technical College.
Gotcha.
Because of that, and being a 1099 employee, I said, why not go ahead and leverage that and then go ahead and participate in the process where you then obtain a legal entity status by way of an LLC. Since I'm going to be paid as a contractor, go ahead and then step on out between the water as it pertains to entrepreneurship. And that's how my entrepreneurial journey began. Okay. During that entrepreneurial journey, an opportunity was presented to me from doing volunteer work with an organization called WEOP, the Women's Economic Opportunity Project here in Atlanta. And WEOP provides an opportunity for women who are going into government contracting and building businesses for themselves, an opportunity to enhance their acumen. And by doing action coaching for them and entrepreneurs, the opportunity was presented to me that, hey, there's an advocacy position available by way of our network, and we believe that you would be best suited to pursue that opportunity. Gotcha. So I applied and interviewed, and that's how I'm in this position now.
Gotcha. And that's, you definitely ran the gamut of something that we talk about each week that we've been here, is getting behind the scenes of what exactly is the path that you took. And it's not a linear path. It's almost never a linear path, but I think even for ourselves, not just the young people that we talk to today, but for ourselves to say, hey, you may take some diversions from what you thought it was that you were going to be doing to end up at the end road. And to be perfectly honest, you really don't know what the end road is going to be.
Right.
So I don't know that you necessarily said to yourself, I want to grow up and work for the Small Business Administration and be in office of advocacy, et cetera, but you took the opportunities that were presented to you.
For sure.
And I think that's amazing, and I think that's important that people understand that piece. Hello? So come close to your mic, because it's your turn now.
It's my turn.
And
Okay.
I say hello, Miss Nicole.
Hello.
All about the
everyone.
Benjamins, Nicole.
Yes.
We just heard how Montez landed where we are today. Tell us a little bit more about now. Obviously, I mean, unless you tell me your name is Nicole based on some baby that was left in the manger,
No.
it's probably not going to be a similar
my
story.
story's not as exciting as Miss Montez.
But your name is beautiful nonetheless. But tell us a little bit more about yourself, your path to how you got to where you are today, and mainly that, just kind of like how did Nicole get to, I'm not going to keep calling it all about the Benjamin.
By the numbers.
How we got to by the numbers.
Okay. Well, my story is kind of simplistic. I was coming through school, and they had career day. And this woman walked in, and she was absolutely just the epitome of professionalism. She was Black. She was talking about how to be an accountant, why she was an accountant. And that was like, 10th grade.
Gotcha.
And from that point on, I became an accountant. I was doing people's taxes in school, messing them
From
up.
10th grade, you became the accountant?
I was an accountant.
I am an accountant.
Yeah, and then just to speed things up, kind of went the route of going to the military. The recruiter said I could travel the world and be an accountant. That didn't happen.
Hold on. Thank you for your service.
Yes,
Let's start
Absolutely.
there. And they told you can be an accountant
They
in the
told me
military?
that, yeah, but yes, they do have accounting positions. However,
I think this is important because many times, that's why I stopped you there, but
Okay.
I'm gonna let you finish a la Kanye. But in terms of the military piece, most people think that it's just combat.
yeah, no.
And there's so many different elements of the military that you can, when they say you can go to college, you can do this, you can do
Yeah.
that. This is an example of that, even though it didn't pan out the way
pan
we
out that
liked
way,
it
no.
to.
They had me fueling tanks. That's okay.
That's what I was gonna say. How did that happen?
That's okay.
He said, I was supposed to be that lady.
Right.
So
It's whatever
give me a brief
positions
synopsis.
are open.
Oh, okay.
When I came along, that was not available. So
You're like, this is
Long
not.
story
This is
short,
not what the lady told
I
me.
did go into the military, but fortunately, I was able to come out before going into combat.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay.
Circle back around and went to college and kind of focused on getting an accounting degree.
Like that dang government. Don't talk to us.
okay.
This is between me and you now, Montez. We're not talking to that government, man.
Right.
Okay, I had a great time in the military, so
Okay,
I had
cool.
right. But so came home, focused on graduating. Had a child in the meantime. Don't want to be out here.
Mm-hmm.
We grew up together.
There he is.
So had my child, came back home, focused on college, and just absolutely fell in love with the whole accounting, understanding it, getting to know it, and it just kind of really opened up my understanding as to what I wanted to do.
Wonderful.
You get into the big firms, and you kind of learn that the little guy doesn't get the attention that the big big companies get. So then I circled back again and just kind of focused on helping small businesses succeed. Because, you start a business, most times, they don't make it past 2 to 5
Absolutely.
years.
Right.
So that just became my little niche. And then just meeting different people, I decided to step out on my own.
Right.
So in 1999, I started my practice, continued to do what was needed to get my CPA, and then just continued to grow my firm. So over the years, I've just grown in love with helping businesses.
Well, you gotta love the numbers to do what
Yeah.
you do. So, so I thank you. And what I think is interesting again is this piece about. I think in your case, you're like, I know I want to be an accountant.
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes we don't always know what we want to be, but I also think tying back to what we were talking about with Montez, you knew this is what you wanted to be, but you didn't necessarily know what path it was going to take to get you there. And the openness to whatever those opportunities were. Because I don't know if somebody told me that, I think at the time I wanted to be a guidance counselor, but if they told me I had to go in the military, I probably would have changed direction. So the fact that you were open to pursuing your dreams and even going into the military to do so says a lot about how sure you were that this is what you wanted to do. So I think that's an awesome story. I want to go back to what you were saying, Montez, earlier about one, working in the DEI space and also the women in business and governmental contracts. And part of what you do and part of what you mentioned is helping women get governmental contracts. And I think I don't know what the numbers are specifically, and you can speak to them if you have that available, but just minority business owners being able to get governmental contracts can be very difficult. Now layer in women minority business owners being able to get access to government contracts, or even knowing that they exist, or how, if that's even an option. I think many women don't even realize that.
Right.
So let's speak a little bit to that piece, and how, one, you've been able to shift that, and two, what gaps or blind spots you've seen in that space.
Okay, I'll start with the gaps and the blind spots are that many women-owned businesses, and just small businesses in particular, just don't know the adequate resources to be able to use and what is available. Because we live within the advent of technology and its accessibility, there's an overindulgence as it pertains
The
to, and there's a
Google
lot of
smoggle.
information. It can be difficult to find the correct pathway to exactly what you want to get. So if I can, I like to answer it as it pertains to two ventricles, so to speak. There's a part where you can go to SBA.gov. I'll speak to the products and services, and then I have to speak specifically to the department I work for. So on the products and services part, having been an entrepreneur, on SBA.gov, you can look under local assistance, the tab on SBA.gov. Local assistance will provide you an opportunity to put in your zip code, which then provides you all of the resources that the SBA filters funding for those particular resources, such as their small business development centers, CDIFs, these various community development, investment, financial organizations as well, that can be able to help build the capacity of businesses that many people just don't know.
Right.
This in my neighborhood, I don't know that they didn't know you can go through the University of Georgia to get information regarding contracting. You can be able to connect with WEOP. You can be able to connect with the Women's Entrepreneurship Initiative through the City of Atlanta. You can connect with the Urban League of Greater Atlanta's Entrepreneurship Center. You can connect with the, the Georgia Tech Procurement Assistance Center as well, to empower your government contracting plan of action. And many small businesses don't understand that the contracting game is one in which I compare it to a marathon and not a sprint. Oftentimes individuals enter into that space just being under knowledge, so to speak. They have been attending YouTube University and have a PhD from attending that university. And someone on a video would say, oh, well, I gained a contract, $1 million or whatever dollars, not understanding that, well, maybe they have that because they had a friend that worked in governance or in municipality that put them on to a forecasting opportunity and told them, hey, do a sole source and use other contract vehicles to pursue it and then get it.
Right.
So that part is missing overall, is just having access to the resources that has a more direct path to what they need and want. As it pertains to contracting for the Office of Advocacy part, the Office of Advocacy operates in 3 buckets. So we have economists, the Office of Interagency Affairs, as well as then the regional advocates. The regional advocates, there are 10 throughout the nation, throughout the United States, per portions of the United States, and we provide as a forward-facing portion to talk about regulation that impacts small businesses. Then you have the Office of Interagency, which includes the attorneys that will review the various regulations. And then you have the economists that pull census data, and then they evaluate information to be able to mitigate and pull together resources for these small businesses. This is all because you have a regulatory act as it pertains to the Regulatory Flexibility Act that was created in 1980, but the office was created by Congress in 1976. Many people don't know that. We are an independent organization that's housed within the SBA.
Right.
So we are not regulated by the SBA. And that's
Okay,
why.
well, I take my government shade back from it.
Oh, well, no, everybody, even as a member within a democratic governance, democratic republic, you have the right to be able to have whatever opinion you have of the government.
Right.
The government operates in so many ways in which I don't necessarily agree, nor am I happy sometimes with the manner in which it shows up. And that's on any level of governance.
Right.
And so as it pertains to the Office of Advocacy, there are pre-regulatory opportunities for folks that are interested in government and contracts. There are different buckets where you have representatives from real estate, taxes, within the Office of Interagency, agriculture, fisheries and wildlife, education. Those particular individuals have specific regulatory information that helps ease the burden for small businesses.
Right.
So even a government contracting bucket. And so when it comes to pre-regulatory items, you have an opportunity where there, according to the RFA, basically, the Regulatory Fairness Act, there is a process that is used to determine whether or not regulations are created that are going to harshly impact small businesses, okay? So when that determination is made, you then have opportunities where the Office of Interagency will pull in their attorneys, take a look at the various regulations. And then they have business roundtables, business listening sessions. Within businesses have an opportunity, small businesses who is the entities we really want to connect with, to have a chance to be able to voice their opinion as it pertains to the regulations and then alternatives and then ways in which you can create some solutions to these various regulatory issues.
And I think with everything that you said was important. This piece right here that you're talking about is important because many small business owners, a lot of times they feel like they're a small fish in a big pond. So in their opinion, and even as the citizens or the public is kind of like the corporations run everything. They don't care what we say. They don't care what we think. They don't care how this stuff is impacting us. And what you're saying is we do have a segment of the government and within the Small Business Administration that actually does address exactly that. And
Yes.
most small business owners probably, well, I'm going to say in this case, they do need to be a part of that because their voices are not being heard, not because they're screaming into echo chamber, say for like social media or something like that. And they're
Yes.
like, oh, I'm sure Wally World is fine with whatever y'all just decided, but I'm tripping over here because
Yes.
this is impacting me. But they're
Yes.
they're not participating in what you guys are doing, where those things are being discussed and presented in a way that is going to show how this is truly impacting small businesses. And not just small businesses, but taking a step further to what we're talking about culturally, minority small businesses
Sure.
who are not at those tables sometimes because of they don't even understand that they exist.
Absolutely.
Which is why we have you here.
That's right. That's right. I'm an only child. I like to talk and harass a lot of people.
So I
Share the
think
good news.
it's extremely important. And we do have quite a few business owners who, so much small business is very small, right? So it's just a single operator. They're not thinking all the way up to Small Business Administration, how can you help me? They're not thinking up to Small Business Administration is advocating on my behalf. They
Yeah.
think that that's a place where they can probably get some funding if they okay, but that's it.
For
There's
sure.
not a full understanding of what portions of the Small Business Administration exist to operate on their behalf.
Absolutely.
And I think that everything that you said is extremely important. Now, you also do advocacy and business growth for small businesses, particularly women business owners. So in the same vein, what is it that you're seeing from an accounting and tax perspective that is the blind spots that business owners are either they've suffered for years because they didn't come to you, or they're coming to you and you realize that these are some really big gaps or blind spots that are hurting their businesses in ways that they don't really understand.
So I'll just take it back to COVID. When everything happened and they put out that PPP, I had to literally shut down my tax season because so many people wanted to apply, but their books weren't ready. They hadn't done a financial statement. They hadn't done a tax return in over 3 years. Right? That's the
What's
basis.
that you say?
Yes. That's the basis. But no judgment at all. I deal with
No
businesses
judgment.
all the time because they set up their business to do what they love to do.
Yeah.
Right? So they're not focused on the accounting piece. So that's where my whole business education comes in at. And some of them are quite frankly amazed at how simple it is just to be organized and get this information done, right? So that's where I come in to get them ready to come to you or to come to the SBA.
Yes.
Right, so definitely a gap there in understanding the importance of accounting. That's why I teach. That's why I'm here.
Right. And I agree with you. And it's interesting because you just said something. We had another guest 2 or 3 weeks ago, Glenda Walker. She does small business financing. And she used to be a commercial lender. She worked in the big banks for a long time. And same thing. She's like, most business owners just know what they do, right? They know how to do whatever their business is. They're passionate about that. But all the inner workings of trying to take this business to the next level is where they struggle. Whether that's getting financing, whether that's getting funding, whether that's the accounting piece, that these are the major gaps and blind spots that we're seeing in our small businesses, and I myself included.
It's fixable.
Where,
Yes.
you try to, but again, in a lot of ways, I'm a single entrepreneur. So it's like, yes, I have a business, but I'm doing all the business stuff.
Yes.
So to have these conversations with you guys, that there are ways to advocate for your businesses, your small business down from your, one person operator to, your 50, 100, whatever, that there is advocacy there. And then there's also pieces where there is someone who is able to help you plug in the parts that you need in order to take your business to the next level, and not only take your business to the next level, because there's grants, there's,
Yes.
you know, contracts, there's all these things that so many of us are floundering
Yes.
because we're chasing the dollar just to keep the business afloat. So I think that this piece that you mentioned about getting the books, building out your business to be an actual business is a very important piece, because the packaging of that to get it to the small business administrator. Because now what I want you to speak about is how important it is for your stuff to be packaged.
Yes.
Because I'm sure there's a bunch of incomplete or some kind of, I've only been in business for 6 months, but I want this or I want that. Speak to how important it is to put together a comprehensive packaging of your business so that you can effectively get either the government grants or the government contracts or whatever it is that's available to them, but they're not quite packaged properly in order to get them or to qualify for them.
Sure. One of the things a recurring theme that has been mentioned is talking about the small fish in a large pond, so to speak. Small businesses versus large corporations, and then by the numbers is that you have to know your numbers. And because some people are first generation entrepreneurs, some people are not first generation entrepreneurs. However, they grew up in families where someone made ceramics or owned a grocery store, but no one ever really sat down to show them the processes, because they really didn't know either. They were figuring it out as they do it for many people that I've come across anyway. And so as it pertains to understanding your numbers, being able to understand really what type of corporation have you set up legally, to understand exactly what are the financial responsibilities that are included with that. If you, as it pertains to PPP loans, idle loans, micro loans, whatever it is, you're going to have things like your profit and loss statement. You're going to have to understand your revenue. You're going to have your taxes completed, as spoken to earlier. And without that vital information, you will not be viewed as a credible recipient of that which you believe you have so much value to provide for other people. If you look at it like this, I'm going to go to a grantor and ask them to give me $100,000 to do whatever it is you want to do, but you don't meet the criteria, you don't have the necessary documentation. Why would someone believe in you to actually do so? And it's nothing that's personal.
And I was just about to say,
it's not personal.
When that happens, a lot of times they're feeling like, again, this back to the small fish. They don't care about me. I'm not going to get that. They shot me down, but not really fully understanding the context of why you're being denied. It's not always, and I'm not going to, we're all brown people living in this world. So I'm not going to say that does not play a part at all, but it does matter if we're not having our stuff packaged the way it needs to be packaged in order. So at the very least, you can say, because we had this in real estate, there was a period in, I think it was, I don't want to name any banks because I might get that wrong, but it was two big banks that were held liable for denying people's refinance, right? But while I don't doubt that they were doing it, it was deemed that it was racially motivated, right? I don't doubt that piece, but I also know that sometimes we don't always have things the way they need to be able to even combat that. So if you're able to come back and say, well, how are you telling me I'm denied when I have a 750 credit score and I have this and I have that? Many times we don't have those things. So we're all just like, you know what? I knew it, and you shut down, when in reality, if you had all your ducks in a row, you would feel more empowered to be able to come back at them and say, okay, wait a minute, Small Business Administration, you told me I needed A, B, C, D, and E. I have these things. Why? What's happening here? Sure. And I think that matters a lot in our ability to advocate for ourselves, because we're going in not even really sure what we're supposed to have and what we're supposed to be doing. So when someone says no, you just automatically go back into your shell and go back to your, selling your groceries or doing your whatever. It's like, yeah, I tried it and they denied me. And you're never coming back to it again because you never had a complete understanding of why you were denied.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, you have to definitely strengthen your relationship with those resources to support what you're doing, as well as work on your perception that may be skewed regarding finances. Oftentimes, there are small businesses that are not willing to invest in various services that can help them too. Exactly. Tax and accounting services. Because there's a perception that I can't afford it. However, But how many Air Force Ones do you own when you line up that are in excess of $150 per pair? And when you look at that, then you can afford it. It's just the manner in which you perceive things, and you have to really monitor the conversations you're having with people that don't know anything about entrepreneurship at all.
Say it again.
You have to be mindful of having conversations with people that don't know anything about entrepreneurship at all.
Because they're giving you all this different advice and telling you what you should do. You know what you should do? You know what you should do? And then you come to a professional and they're like, no, don't do that. They're like, yeah, but, and it's we face this in real estate. Even when you say, my mother's uncle's cousin's brother, so-and-so told me blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, but is he a realtor?
I get calls about TikTok.
Oh my God!
I believe it.
Yeah, because there's all of these tax things
So
that
much
can be done
information.
today, right? So it's leading up to tax season, so they have all this input.
Right.
Information.
You get an MBA on TikTok.
Right. So tell me, I want you to definitely speak to the TikTok piece, because there's all these people that's sitting here with the camera like this and giving you all of this, tidbits, right?
Yeah.
But also, I wanted to tie into what Montez was just saying about investing in their business in that way, and the hurdles that you have found around that, because any small business is definitely going to need accounting and taxes, and all of that stuff is so important to not just the ability to potentially get financing, but just the ability to not pay so much taxes. Not you don't even have a general idea of what your business is doing or capable of, because there are times, and I have had these conversations with other professionals, meaning in this space, that are saying, my business is a $150,000 business. I have a 6-figure business, but then when you start breaking it all down, it's like you make $3. It's like, after you finish buying cars and doing all these things, you have a net worth of $3, and they're like, what? So let's talk about that and how that plays into what you do and how you've been able to overcome that to some aspect.
Well, to the point that she spoke to, even about business entity, right? How you even set up your business initially, and understanding, the ownership, what happens with the ownership, the liability, what you can write off, what you can deduct, just all those things have to be considered when you're thinking about entity. You can't just jump into something. So I start from there. It's like, are you in the right entity to cover all the things that you're concerned about, right? Then number 2 is just setting up an accounting system to do the work for you, so that at year end, you're not trying to grab all the receipts and all this. And if a funding opportunity comes up, or if you need to step out for a loan, you have everything you need because you're set up, right? And I want to call it legitimately set up, right? So that's kind of where I start. And I come from the focus of a no judgment zone. So wherever you are, I'm able to meet you at. And we just work from there. But it's just very important. I consider what you're gifted to do is the blessing of your business, but the backbone and the spine of it is the accounting.
That's like John and the other disciples and stuff, right?
Exactly. And businesses will fail because they don't know what their numbers are.
Right.
Are you making enough money? Can you pay yourself? Can you pay your staff? Do you need accounting will tell you all that. So that's kind of where I started from. That's the essential.
So how have you been able to overcome the hurdles of any pushback that you're getting about, and not I won't just say the cost, because obviously the cost is one piece, but the whole idea of this needs to be a very integral part of your business.
Yeah. But unfortunately, people come to me as a last hope, last resort. They're in this situation where no matter what I want to charge, they won't pay it, which I'm not. But I'm saying that they're at that point in their business where they're like, okay, whatever it needs to be, I need this done, right? And so, I'm trying to work out with, I'm not trying to take the army away. My joy is helping the business owner be successful, and not just see it on the paper, but have it in the bank. That's my whole thing. So you have these 30,000 millionaires, as they say down here.
Thousandaires.
Exactly, thousandaires that are in business, but they're not seeing it in the bank. So the whole focus of the accounting is just helping you get to that point.
Okay, I definitely, well, first of all, let me say this. From a holistic perspective, I think we're always saying that we don't want to take people's money. If you are performing a service, I want your arm, I want your leg, I want the value of the service that I am giving to you.
Understandable.
So, and as business owners, I want you guys to get the value of the service that you are providing to your folks. And I'm not saying that as a disclaimer to you. It's just that I feel like, especially as women sometimes, that we feel compelled to say that we don't want to like bankrupt anybody or something like that.
Let me
You know what I
speak-
mean?
Can I speak to that real quick? Because that's something that I really go into, because once you know what your numbers are, understanding what your costs are is what your prices should be based on. So that's number one. A lot of places businesses aren't charging enough.
Right.
And that's what they're not seeing the
Right.
bottom line. But yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely.
So that's why when you just said that, I'm like, well, wait. On that point, hold on a second. But no, I agree with you, because at the same time, I too, none of us want to. It's taken advantage of and being paid your worth are two different things, right? And I think that it's important for us to have conversations surrounding worth. And sometimes people charge way too much goddamn money for what they do, and it's like,
Yes.
what?
Yes.
But on the same token, we also have to be paid what we're worth and not feel that we are taking advantage of someone else. And you and I talked about this briefly when we met that time, about how many times you'll have people that will kind of try to nickel and dime you, and then you stop feeling bad. You know, you kind of saying to yourself, well, okay, well, give me what you can. And
Yeah.
So I have become more intentional about that, and I would love to see if women entrepreneurs became more intentional about that, because I think the emotion that we have about it is tied to it.
Yeah.
And what you just said about running the numbers and realize how much you may be giving away your services, how much you may be losing money because of the heart piece that is, you know, is there. We're nurturers, etc. Now we got some badass women that's like, I don't give a damn about you. I don't give a damn if your baby don't have shoes. I need my money. But for those of us that do, we need a little bit of her and a little bit of heart. And
Balance.
I think both of what you guys have been talking about plays a part in that, in wanting to advocate for the small business and having their numbers together, having their books together, and advocate for small businesses and providing the resources and the services that they need to be able to go up another notch. What type of hurdles have you seen when it comes to small businesses being transparent, one, and two, coming to you guys for services? What kind of hurdles have you seen, and how have you been able to overcome them?
Some hurdles have been that many small businesses don't know that we exist, foremost. And so when they do have that understanding, it's then working with their understanding as to how what we do can fit into their standard operations and procedures, and just plan out for your day. If you see an opportunity to jump on a call and be able to speak to the head of a federal agency to give them your opinion about something, do it. It's worth it, because eventually what you say is taken into consideration, and or you can go on regulations.gov and provide your comment as well. And you will see that there are thousands of other small interest groups, lobbying groups, as well as other businesses that are aligned with you. And if they're not aligned with you, you then also get to see other perspectives of the process. So it's a built-in solution mechanism, so to speak. The other hurdle is something that, interestingly enough, a business contacted me about, which was in direct competition. They were basically told that if they didn't do something according to a non-compete agreement, that pretty much they want to get put out of business. So oftentimes small businesses in the contracting space get threatened. And we just actually had a call yesterday that spoke specifically to the Federal Trade Commission, discussing whether or not non-compete clauses should be abolished and or what's the importance of them.
Right.
And so on that call, there were small businesses that had an opportunity to speak specifically to how it benefits businesses, and or how the Federal Trade Commission really should not necessarily be in this lane. And they also provided alternatives moving forward, so that these various suggestions can be taken into consideration before you have the regulation specifically solidified in the Federal Register, right? So that's another thing. Opportunity where that small business had that, and the way you can work around it is that when people reach out to me as it pertains to pursuing opportunities within the Office of Advocacy, not only can I connect you to economic data and status and reports and research, but also attorneys that specialize in the field regarding regulations. I can also connect you to other regions of the United States, where I can then be able to impact your family and friends in their businesses to introduce them to the opportunity as well. And then you have overall the opportunity where we then are able to kind of escalate the matter in the event that it can't be resolved. We also have an opportunity to connect you with the SBA Ombudsman's Office. The Ombudsman's Office can be able to handle various disputes to ensure that your business is handled in a manner in which the regulatory nature of whether or not things are to happen to you along the line or guise of fairness is taken into consideration. So those are three various opportunities delicious opportunities to participate in as it pertains to the Office of Advocacy.
Let me ask you, and I thank you for all that you just said about those things, because I know that even when you and I first met, I'm kind of like, yeah, we need to talk. But
Yes.
Is there a cost associated with the resources that they provide at the Small Business Administration?
That's a great question. No, for the Office of Advocacy, it is free. As in with a capital FREE. This is free.
Hallelujah.
This is free. Connecting. I believe in connecting. I believe in answering my phone. I believe in being able to answer questions in a manner in which I can direct you to wherever you need to go. And the opportunities are free. There is no cost, no membership, no subscription service. You do not have to create a login. You don't have to create a profile. It literally is just dependent upon what you need. And you can actually go to advocacy.sba.gov to access the entire clearinghouse of information that is free, from the economic information to the Office of Interagency to how to get in contact with me as well.
Okay, perfect. Now, we're almost done because there was a lot of information. I hope y'all are excited about that. First, I want to, go ahead and we're going to wrap. I want you to say any last piece that you think is important that the audience needs to know about what you do and something that we didn't touch on.
Okay. Well, what I will say is that if you are a business owner and you find yourself in a situation based on this conversation that we had today, reach out to, it doesn't have to be myself, but reach out to an accounting professional.
It need to be her. This is Nicole.
To help you just get things in order so that you can see the legitimacy of your business, know what your numbers are, know if you're making money or not, know what to do next, put a strategic plan in place to benefit your business. And it's not hard to do, it's just a matter of being organized. And once you're organized and have it all together in a pretty bow, you move forward and you just have peace and mind.
And the best way to get in contact with you?
The best way to get in contact with me is, so the business cell phone is 734-945-0205. And the email is nkirkland@bythenumbers with a Z. So bythenumbers with a Z, CPA.com.
And the best way to get started with you is to do the 30-minute consult.
Yes, I do offer a free discovery call. We just kind of look at your situation. We start from where you are, and we put a plan together to move forward. No judgment zone.
Perfection. Montez?
Yes.
Since you are no longer a professional, we have a lot going on now.
Yes. Yes.
At the SBA, we still taking care of folks. Is there anything that we did not touch on that you think is really important for the audience to know?
It is extremely important for our audience to know that this is the only most penetrable political process you will ever participate in, because you don't have to actually go on a booth and vote on anyone. It's a vote for yourself as a small business to raise and heighten your voice. You only participate for free by way of getting on virtual calls and participating in business roundtables if you so choose. And the way in which you can be able to contact me for this is Montez, Montez.diamond, DIAMOND at SBA.gov. My business number is 404-434-7397.
Awesome. This was Slay Your Day. And I hope that y'all thought this information was slayable. Again, this is April Rogerson, the Contract Slayer, Century 21 Connect Realty on Slay Your Day podcast. Thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye.